Hello, everybody. I'm Pamela Coons at the Wellness Radio TV. Welcome. I am so excited about this show. This is not Valentine's or anything, but it certainly is a time when we're talking about what we're going to be doing for 2020. And top in the list for so many people is their relationship. What are your goals for your relationship? You know, maybe just with yourself or others. Goals for getting in a relationship, or it can be a goal of getting out. My guest today, I'm really excited to have Victoria Stevenson, who is a relationship coach. Victoria, thank you very much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
What in the world can we do? We're in the midst of the holidays. There's enough stress as it is with the holidays. But then when you throw in relationships, there's some people who are in relationships and they feel like, I'm just going to get through the holidays on this. And if I make it through the holidays, I'm going to do this, 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 and this. Do you recommend people just, if it's worth getting out of, it's worth getting out of today?
You know, I think that a lot of times we put so much pressure on ourselves. Pressure to be the best, do the best, have the best, and at the end of the day, we're exhausted. We're just exhausted. And you have to find a way to carve out time for the things and the people in your life that are truly important. Never mind all the running around for Christmas gifts and the baking and the entertaining. We have to take time for ourselves and for those that we love.
So in taking times for ourselves, Victoria, what do we do in this relationship that we feel like may not be, how do you know when it's time to let go? What is the process that you recommend people go through or think about when they are looking at, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired?
Yeah. I would say anytime someone is making more withdrawals in your life than deposits, it's time to reevaluate. You have people that are constantly taking, and then you have others who are constantly giving, and there has to be a balance. It's not about keeping score, it's about balance. And it's about true internal happiness. And what that looks like for everyone is different.
So if people are making more withdrawals than deposits in your life, man, that's interesting.
And I see it a lot in what it is that I do. I work with women who are single, I work with married couples, I work with women who've been through cancer, and I help them find the best version of themselves.
So let's talk about that. You work with women who've gone through cancer and other illnesses that can take a toll on you emotionally and sometimes can take a toll on that relationship. What are some of the things that you hear from your clients that you talk to, Victoria?
Sure. A lot of my clients, they don't feel desired. They have decided in their own minds that the way they see themselves is how others see them. And a lot of times that's not the case. So.
Yeah. Hey, Sydney and Yvonne Henning. So people who go through cancer treatment, in particularly breast cancer, who may lose one or both of their breasts, and there's so much emphasis in our society on women and their hair and their boobs. How do you work with women to get them through that? And is that something, does that turn into a couple thing?
Sometimes. Yeah, for some women, it's a matter of overcoming the barriers in their minds. And I have other clients who the barriers aren't there. They embrace whatever chapter it is that they're going through in their life. And a lot of times when we are working through challenges in our life, we shut down. We shut down the communication, and or the communication that we have with ourselves is a lot of negative talk. And so what ends up happening is we decide in our minds how it's going to be, how it is, because we're women and that's how we operate. And before we know it, we've talked ourselves out of so many blessings and opportunities for love, for connection, for relationships, whether it's with friends, a significant other, a spouse. And what I see in the one thing that most women have in common is we carry around guilt. we find ourselves feeling guilty if we take the time for self-love, and we find ourselves feeling guilty if we haven't, engaged in intercourse with our partner in a week or 2 weeks or a month. And so helping women get out of their own way is part of what my role has been this last 13 years as a romance coach.
We're talking to Victoria Stevenson. Victoria is a coach, a relationship coach, a romance coach. That's nice. Hey, Yvonne, thank you. Love your broadcast, so informative. Thank you very much for watching and sharing. I mean, people need to hear this. Hey, Herb Marshall. We're talking to Victoria about relationships and what relationship goals that you might have for 2020, and particularly talking about women who are going through treatments for physical illnesses that change them physically and emotionally. I talked to an oncologist who said that the stress of being diagnosed with cancer sometimes is more detrimental to patients than the actual cancer. So you have, and in the case of women, now you get men with prostate cancer.
Sure.
And that can impact the intimacy.
Absolutely.
In a relationship. So how do you talk to couples about remaining in touch with each other, in love with each other, sensitive to what the other one is going through, whether it's prostate cancer, breast cancer, or any other illness that might impact their intimate life?
Sure. I think for some people, the biggest mistake that we often make is we equate intimacy and intercourse as the same thing.
It's not?
It's not.
Okay.
So, for a lot of people, intimacy could be as simple as just a loving hug, a touch. It could be massage. It could just be an intimate conversation. And a lot of times we assume that pat on the shoulder or that rub on the back, early morning, late at night, is going to automatically equal a moment engaging in intercourse. And for a lot of couples that I work with and talk through these challenges with, that's the biggest obstacle. Like, they're not in the mood, they're tired, they're high stress, often equals low libido. And in those moments, they have to put all of that aside and just have an honest conversation with their partner, or even just with themselves. I work with a lot of single women who their attitude is, until love finds them, what now? What next? And helping them understand it's okay for self-exploration. It's okay to get to know your own body. How can you articulate what you want from someone else if you don't even know what pleasures you yourself? So, it's such an array. I have almost 4,000 clients that I've worked with over this last 13 years, and they just, every person's walk of life is different.
Yeah,
So.
Victoria, talking about single women and single men, talk about this age group over 50 and trying to find someone at this point in your life, because for so many people, having been focused on careers or gone through a divorce or divorces, and then trying to trust their judgment in finding their next mate, or some people resolve in their minds, this is it. How do you encourage or help people to find, because maybe right here is where you need to be.
Sure.
And that's okay.
Sure. I think I absolutely love working with people over the age, I'll say 45, because most of my clientele is between the ages of 38 and 60, actually, when I look at the statistics.
Really?
So, and I love that age group because we're past all of the, I'll call it the surface level stuff. We're not afraid to put our cards out on the table. Like, this is me, this is who I am, this is what I've been through, this is what I'm looking for. We have a better chance at good communication when we're just open and honest. So you hear that phrase, life begins at 50. I hear a lot of people say that, and I believe that it does. I think a lot of women and men both, but primarily women, they're confident. They're like, look, I've been there, I've done that, I've tried that, and they're more dialogical with their significant other, whoever that may be. And they know what they want, and they're not afraid to ask for it. So.
Yeah. I'm talking to Victoria Stevenson. She is a romance coach. hey, if you have any questions, you feel free to put them in the little comment box. We'll see them here and we'll answer those questions for you. 2020 is a few days away, the end of this era, and what should we be thinking about, even just with ourselves, first of all,
Sure.
as we move forward in relationships with or without someone?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So if you're single, I would say wherever you see yourself, like in a mirror, put a little sticky note on the mirror that says, I feel my best when. And answer that question for yourself every day. And make it a point to do something for yourself every day that makes you feel your best. For some women, it's when we grab our favorite pair of stilettos, we've got our sexy boots, we just get that extra pep in our step when we know we are about to walk the invisible catwalk and feel good about us. For people who are in a relationship, I give them the break the boardroom challenge, is what I call it. A lot of couples that I've worked with, they find themselves more concerned about life in the boardroom than the bedroom or the classroom or the arcade or wherever their other places. The thing that sucks their time is really what I call it. But helping couples get past boardroom and the energy that they bring to the boardroom and bring some of that into the bedroom. And again, it doesn't have to necessarily lead to intercourse, but just a romantic touch. Hi honey, how was your day? A massage on their back. You know, couples that don't talk, don't touch is what I have found. And so helping people get to a point where they embrace the idea of this person that they picked. You picked that person for a reason, and you have a lot of time and energy invested in that person. And what can you do to strengthen that relationship the same way you prepare for a board meeting, prepare for a lecture, prepare for, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
How do you do that at home? I actually read an article about having corporate positions at home, have those names so that, the responsibilities are clearly defined.
Sure.
Monica Jackson Jones, hey, my sister, Locke's sister. Hey, Dr. Stevenson. Dr. Stevenson. Oh, she's so cute. Your
That's
husband's
sweet.
watching.
He is watching. Hi, honey.
We're glad you're watching, sir.
Yeah.
So you talk about making sure that we are preparing, Dr. Stevenson, like you're going to do a lecture. How do you prepare? Hey, how do you do this at home?
Oh, that's top secret information. No, honestly, one of the biggest things I could recommend for couples nowadays is what we call the no phone zone. So when we're dining, my husband and I, when we're dining together, whether it's at home, at a restaurant, we have no phone zone, meaning no telephones at the table, because that is the biggest drain that relationships see, is always needing to be in front of technology, always needing to check your phone, always needing to check your, whatever, your laptop, computer. So, challenge yourself as a couple. Take an hour a day and just put the phones away. Don't even make them accessible.
So is that more difficult? Like Monica has a child in college. She has 2 boys that are in various activities. Is it more difficult for couples when they have children who have their phones? How do you balance all of that? The children have phones and you want to be able to see when they call, yet you're trying to have this time with your husband. How do you balance that?
Sure. I think for a lot of people, having, for example, with kids, so I'll take that first. Women with kids, men with kids, give your children a ringtone. Put your phone away, but give your children a ringtone.
That's a good idea.
And so when they hear that ringtone, they know that that person calling is worth the interruption to their quality time with their significant other.
Hey, Monica, do your children have ringtones? Have you implemented that? Michael Marshall. Hey, Michael Marshall. We're talking to Victoria Stevenson. She is a relationship coach and romance coach. And I'm really thrilled to be able to share her insight with you as we are preparing to say goodbye to 2019 and hello 2020. It's a new year. of 2020 vision. So we want you to be able to sleep clearly. They don't, but a great idea. Yeah, Monica.
You'll be glad you did, Monica, I promise.
And talk about people who have not been in a relationship, and some people really, really do want to be in the relationship. What is it that they can do either to be okay with themselves or to get themselves in a place that, and my brother said once, I'm trying to make sure that I'm a person that I want to be in a relationship with.
Absolutely. I think part of it is, well, I'll go off of personal experience. When you think you're ready for a relationship, make a list. Make a list of all of the things that you do and don't want in that next person. And ask yourself what of those things you absolutely have to have, and what are those things that you can live without. Some women, oh, if he leaves the towels on the floor, that drives me nuts. Okay, then that should be on your list. I want him to have an education level equal to mine or greater. That should be on the list. So, understanding what it is that you're looking for. Most of my clients, are not just looking for a guy who knows how to wear nice jeans. They want substance. They want a foundation there that they can build with someone. And if you were to sit down across from the person of your dreams, what would that conversation look like? Would you be able to articulate to them what it is that you want, what it is that you desire? And obviously you're not going to throw that all at them the first meeting, but you want to at least be prepared. The same way you prepare for a boardroom meeting, you should be prepared for a personal life meeting.
The person of your dreams sitting across the table from you, how would you engage with them?
Yeah.
Hey, Shonda. Hey, Jimmy Dodd. Minister Jimmy Dodd in Jackson, Tennessee. Thank you for watching and sharing. We're talking to Victoria Stevenson. She is a relationship coach, a romance coach, and here to give us some tidbits for getting it all together, or at least getting it a little better in 2020 when it comes to relationships with ourselves and relationships with others. You may already be married. How do you bring the spark back into a relationship when things have happened that have not been too kosher?
Stress. Stress is the biggest killer of a healthy relationship. And second to that is communication. And I have 30 years of pastoral experience that I'm married to, I'll say, but I also have a father who's a pastor and an uncle who's a pastor, and in engaging in conversations with them, a lot of times people will go to their pastor or their minister staff to get the guidelines and insight from a biblical perspective, which is great, but you also have to listen to the voice within, and I do believe that God speaks to all of us and tells us, this is healthy, this is not healthy, and what can we do to honor that, honor our own heart's desires, and not be so concerned about all of the voices around us.
So your daddy was a pastor, and then you married a pastor.
I did.
You married. So did you ever think that was going to happen to you?
No.
That wasn't one of the goals. That wasn't one of the goals you wrote down.
It was not one of the goals I wrote down. No, but I knew what I was looking for. I did. I had an idea what I was looking for, and that was. I waited a long time until I found him.
So do you mind talking just a little bit?
Sure.
So how long were you single in between your first marriage and?
Absolutely. Yep. So I was single. Let's see, it would be 4 years from one marriage to another.
Hey, Brunella Johnson in San Antonio, Texas, and Tammy in Chicago, Illinois. Thank you all so much for joining us. Somebody had comment, but she has put words to how I feel about something that could not be verbalized.
Well, praise him. Glad to hear it.
Wow. Yay. Yeah. Wonderful. We were, so you married somebody that's a minister, that's been a pastor, but that wasn't on your agenda. That wasn't on your list. So you get the list, but you don't have to stick to the list.
Correct. The list is primarily.
Except if it's something that you don't want, then probably. You say you look at that and then determine what can I deal with and what can I.
Yeah. So you know how when you're in a, we'll just take dating, okay? So you're in a dating relationship and you meet this person and you think, wow, this is a great person for me. They this, they that. You have this list of the check marks that we do mentally for ourselves. Then there's also those red flags. There are those things that pop up on your radar and you're like, oh, well, that's probably not a big deal. And we dismiss those.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how we end up from marriage 1 to marriage 2, speaking from experience. So I think it's important that we learn to listen to that internal voice in our heads, in our hearts. We know it when we hear it as women. We call it women's intuition a lot of times. We know when things are not what they should be.
Yeah. And sometimes because we see it, and even though we see things, we continue to see who we think the person is, that person that we have conjured up in our minds.
Yeah.
And then one day, poosh, the veil comes off.
It happens. It happens to the best of us. But I think most important is being able to address it. Because a lot of times, too, as women, we're very detailed and we get focused in on one particular thing, and we've decided that that's what it is. And there may be a completely another side of the story.
So how many times, Victoria, when you're working with couples and they have these kinds of challenges, are there ever times when you're looking at them going, yeah, this is done? You do? Do you tell them
Nope.
or you wait? Okay.
That is not my place.
Okay.
That is definitely not my place. I don't. I make suggestions to couples on things that they can do. Number one, they need to both be on the same page. Do they both want the relationship? I think that's question number one. Because if they do, are they willing to work for it? Are they willing to put as much time and energy and effort into their personal lives as they do their professional lives? That would probably be the biggest commonality that I see with couples is, he's running 12 hours a day, she's running 12 hours a day, and you get home at the end of the day and you're like, hi, how are you? Love you, good night. And it just becomes a formality. And before you know it, you're like, oh my gosh, we haven't had a moment of intimacy, again, not intercourse, of intimacy in how long? We've not talked face to face. We've not touched one another. We've not engaged in a healthy conversation about our future. And yet we're married. And a lot of times that's what drives the wedge. And that's where the doubts creep in, and that's where our fears take over. And if we could just get out of our own way, I think it would really make a difference long term.
Yeah. Hey, Chuck Taylor in Memphis, thank you very much for watching. So look, what you described may be the relationship reality for a huge percentage of couples, especially when we're talking about two-income families. And as you say, they're going off in the mornings, doing what they do, and then they come back together in time to go to bed. And what's your advice in breaking that kind of cycle?
Sure. I think number one, going back to what we said at the beginning, it's not putting too much pressure on ourselves, but making a conscious effort.
What if it's only one of them that wants to do that? How do you get both of them to the place that both of them understand that we can't continue these 12, 14-hour days? Or maybe you're doing 12 and I'm doing 10, or maybe I'm doing my 8. And how do you get people to the other person to the point where the relationship becomes the priority?
Sure, absolutely. That's a great question. Wow. I would say that for couples who are competitive, this is one that I have found that's worked for couples who are competitive, and not competitive with one another, but just have kind of a competitive nature in general. For my female clients, it starts with a selfie. So I'll recommend things like take a selfie of yourself in a beautiful piece of lingerie. Nothing that's risque, nothing that you would be embarrassed if it was up on a billboard.
If you hit the wrong send,
exactly,
wrong name and hit
person.
send.
But we take pictures all the time, so why not take a fun selfie, send it to your spouse in the middle of the day and say, hey honey, thinking of you, your turn, what do you got? And for a lot of the male clients that I work with, there's no way she's gonna have the last say, they're like game on. And he surprises her with some flowers like he used to do for her. It's about getting back to that first time feeling. All the time is really what my focus is for couples. You know, when you met him, you did things that were playful, that were you maybe put a little more perfume on, maybe you did your hair a little differently. It's not about walking around the house in that same ratty t-shirt all day long, every day. We laugh because we know that we do it. We're guilty of it. It's easy to get comfortable. I'll say that. It's easy to get comfortable in marriage. And I'm guilty of it. My husband's maybe still watching, but you know, it's easy to do. And in the big scheme of things, you have to stop and ask yourself what really matters.
And I really, Scott and I have now been married for 5.5 years, and I do sometimes think when I put something on, if I had just met him and he was coming over, would I put this on? You know?
That's a good self-talk is what we call that. That's great self-talk.
Yeah. Hey, Harry Bell. Yeah, that's right. We're talking to Victoria Stevenson. She is a romance coach. We're trying to help get us all on track for 2020, a clear vision for your relationship, either with someone else or even yourself. Just getting comfortable with you if you are by yourself. Help people be comfortable with who they are by themselves. And do we put too much stress on ourselves to think that we have to be in a relationship?
Absolutely. Because there will be people that I talk to that are in a relationship that are like, oh my gosh, I wish I were single. And then when they're single, they wish they weren't. So again, that negative self-talk that we have with ourselves, you've got to get to a point where you're comfortable in the skin that you're in. And for some people, it's going to the gym. They leave the gym, they feel like they are on top of the world, they've exercised, they feel great. For others, it's yoga. I know a fabulous yoga instructor, just saying, okay? But, you know, finding out what it is that keeps you calm, keeps you balanced, keeps you healthy, because then you will be striving towards the best version of you to be ready for someone else when that someone else comes along.
So your suggestion is work on you, love you, be comfortable with you, and be okay that there's not somebody else in your life.
Because when you're not looking for that someone, that's when they show up.
Is that how you met your husband?
That is how I met my husband. I was not looking for my husband at all, whatsoever. I was fabulous and single. I was happy to be single, and God had a different plan.
Yeah.
You know how it goes.
You look like you really were like fabulously single.
I was happy to be single. My daughter was off to college, and I was traveling with girlfriends out of the country and just living life. And I wasn't looking to settle down again. And now I can't imagine life without him.
Wham, bam, alakazam. Here comes Rick Stevenson. Hey, thank you all very much for watching. Hey, Thomas. Hey, Mr. Douglas. Thank you for watching and sharing. During this holiday season, Victoria, what are some things that people can do who may be feeling a little stressed about the holidays and whether or not they're actually going to be spending the holidays with someone? How do you suggest people manage that?
That's a really good question. I'll let you know when I come up with a good answer to that. No, you know, I would say honestly, if you're in a relationship, I would say just take 5. Take 5 minutes, you know, walk up behind your partner, wrap your arms around their waist, hug them, love on them, thank them for being a part of your life. If you're single, you know, call up that friend, that person that encourages your spirit, that person that lifts you up if you feel discouraged in the holidays. You know, those in a relationship, I would say, you know, massage your partner's shoulders for 5 minutes. You know, do something that you used to do when you started dating. You know, maybe make a list of all the things you used to do when you were dating, and pick one and do one once a week, or you know, once a month maybe for some people would be a good goal. But you know, I would say all in all, find a way to just enjoy the holidays and not put so much pressure on, because at the end of the day, you'll be glad you did.
Yeah. Hey, Cindy Bishop, Antoinette. You know, good advice that you just gave, and in all of that advice you just talked about, not one penny was spent. but very, very, very valuable to just do that human touch. And, you know, sometimes realize all I want for Christmas is you. Yeah, well, Victoria, I really appreciate you coming in. On the other hand, one more question before we go. What are some things that people can do to help spice it up a little bit? Let's talk.
Yeah.
Let's spicing it up, right? Spicing it up a little bit.
We like to spice it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, I think
when you are in a relationship, and then how do you keep it? We talk about restoring, but can't we keep it? Relationships go on these ebbs and flows. What are the things that we can do to help keep it?
Yeah.
You know, at a level.
Well, for those that are in a relationship, I would say date night. It's so easy to pull away from that. My husband and I are guilty of that. We used to have date night regularly, and we get busy. Life happens. You know, you're like, oh, we'll do it next week. We'll do it next week. Schedule it. Schedule a date night.
Like you schedule everything else.
Like you schedule everything
and protect
else.
it like you protect other meetings.
Absolutely. For us ladies, when we go to the hair salon, we are not missing that hair appointment. We're not missing that massage. We're not missing that nail appointment. You know, we put that on the calendar. It doesn't matter if there's a flood. Doesn't matter what's going on. We make it happen. And the same thing needs to happen in our relationships. We need to make them a priority.
Yeah.
And you can do that when you schedule it. And I have some clients that are like, Victoria, why would I schedule sex? Well, if that's what gets the job done, then that's what you should do. Okay. But I also have clients that are like, I just want to have date night. Okay, carve the time out. You carve time out for your favorite TV show. You can carve time out for date night. Even if it's just a quick walk. Take a walk with your partner. There's so many things that we can do that don't have a price tag attached that build that intimacy.
Yeah.
That depth that we're looking for in our relationships. So, yeah.
Hey, Cindy Bishop and I went to high school together, and she's
well, hi, Cindy Bishop.
Yeah, is living here in Florida, in South Florida, on the beach, enjoying.
Oh, I didn't answer the other part of your question. I'm sorry.
About spice.
She asked me about spice.
Spice,
okay?
because here's the we'll talk about spice. Okay, yeah. Tell us about adding a little spice.
Okay, so definitely for women, I recommend lingerie. That is the easiest thing we can do to spice things up.
Because men are so visual.
They are. For 95% of Americans, intimacy, intercourse, any personal level of a relationship starts right here. It's all in our mind. What we see, how we process, what we hear, what we think. So I would definitely say, you know, change up your routine a little bit. The selfies, that's become a very popular client favorite. They have a contest. I have a game that when I meet with my clients, I introduce them to a game that they can play on date night, and I have clients that are now tracking themselves across the U.S. for this game that they're playing together as a couple. And I can't reveal all my secrets. You have to schedule time with me if you want to know about that one. But it works. It definitely works. And so in terms of spice, massage, I highly recommend massage for a number of reasons. Massage is, one, a great way for couples to reconnect. Lay down, rub your partner's shoulders, ask them about their day, open those doors of communication. But massage is also very healthy. It promotes good blood circulation. It makes it easier for the brain to relax and communicate with the rest of the body. So I get into all of those things in my sessions with my clients. So.
Victoria is relationship romance coach, and her information will be there. Because there are people watching from all over the country, do you do Skyping or tell people how they can get in touch with you and how your process works?
Sure. So best bet would be just to give me a call, and I'll get my phone number listed here for you. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer your questions. I do workshops here in the Florida area. I just actually relocated here to Florida, so.
From Grand Rapids.
Yes, from Michigan, from the Midwest.
Yeah.
But I do travel all over the country actually, and then also down into Puerto Rico at times. Usually that's more for my clients that are single, and so I work with groups of women, helping them become more in tune with their bodies, helping them understand the benefits of good sexual health before they lunge into a relationship. So. There's a number of ways, but yes, Skype is something we're definitely entertaining here in 2020. Got to get out of our comfort zone.
Hey, Margaret Miller, listen, but one more thing, not one more thing. I have a couple more things. One, it is said that STDs are on the rise in the 50 plus population. What do you say to people today that they should have adhered to when they were 16? Why do we forget that over 50 and 60 years old? Why does that happen?
You know, I think part of it is because the conversations stop. If you think back to your educational experiences, middle school, high school, that was usually, for most people, that's the last time that they had a conversation about sexual health. So I think that's a big contributing factor. You know, you're in the 5th grade, 6th grade, you go to sexual health class, the boys go to one room, the girls go to the other. Then maybe again in 8th grade, it becomes a whole classroom discussion that's really awkward. And then you hit fast forward and you get to high school and college, and the conversations aren't happening. All of the conversations are what worked for him and her and so on. And that's, you know, that's where I come in, helping women understand the importance of good sexual health for themselves, helping men and women communicate effectively so that they can have a healthy personal and sexual relationship if that's what they desire. But as far as STDs are concerned, yes, that is very true. In the nursing homes, the ratios are significantly high for STDs and whatnot. So a lot of times it's helping people understand how to have that frank conversation. And here in America, sex is very hush-hush. We don't talk about it. You know, everything you know you learn from a movie or from a friend or a friend's friend. And you know, again, that's where my role comes in, is helping people understand the importance of comfort during sex. And if you're experiencing discomfort during intercourse, what does that look like? What's going on? There's more to the story there than just a wrong position. So there's multiple layers of this last 13 years in this arena, but I'm happy to help and happy to answer questions.
Victoria Stevenson, who is a romance coach. Hi, Gary. Thank you for watching. Again, helping couples, helping individuals be prepared as we move into 2020 with comfort, with ease, comfort and ease with themselves, regardless to whether or not you're single or you're with someone else. The most important thing is getting that relationship right with the person in the mirror. Really quick on, and this probably shouldn't be quick, this could be a whole show. How do you help couples who come to you, Victoria, where there's been some infidelity? Another
Truthfully,
show?
Yep, that's another show. That's another show. So, because I'm not the only expert in that arena, I'll say that. That's another show.
Yeah, they work? How do they work through that?
Yeah.
I mean,
the key is, do both parties want to work through it?
Do both parties want to work through it?
Yeah, and can they be honest and say whether they do or they don't?
Yeah, and is the other relationship over? For real?
For real.
Yeah. 2020.
Yes.
Days away.
Challenge yourself.
Challenge yourself.
The month of January. Here's my challenge. The month of January.
Okay.
Everybody print off a calendar page or grab your electronics and do one thing once a week for your relationship, if you're in a relationship, and log it. Journal it, make note of it, keep track of it. That is the best way you can start off 2020, is when you can look back and say, yep, I set goals for the first of the year, and January 31st, these are 4 of the goals that I accomplished.
So you
Great way to start.
Excellent advice. So you do these workshops. Do you do workshops for the gay community?
That is under wraps, up for discussion. I have several clients, actually hundreds of clients, who are in gay lesbian relationships, and we work together directly, yes, but I haven't had workshops for the groups yet.
Gotcha, but one-on-one counseling.
Yeah.
Great conversation.
Thank you.
I appreciate it, and wonderful information. Do what you can to help the person in the mirror feel good about themselves. And then it's much easier, like when you're flying on that plane and they say put the mask over yourself first before you can help somebody else.
Absolutely.
So make sure you're feeling good about yourself, and then do those things that will help each other feel good about the relationship if you are in one. And let go of some of the stress of the holidays.
Yes.
Because this too shall pass, and then it'll be another holiday, 2020. Christmas will be around here before you know it.
Exactly.
So there's no need of getting overly stressed about it. And love on you, and if it doesn't feel right, be brave enough to say, this doesn't feel right.
Yep. Own it.
Own it. Own it. Well, thank you again.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
We thank you all so much for.
Yes, thank you all for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you for tuning in. This will also be on at the Wellness Radio TV at www.wellnessradionetwork.org. Hi, Kim Mack. Like and share. This may be a good video, good show for you to have a little watch party. Get some people together and watch and get some advice. And then if you have additional questions, we're going to provide Victoria's information so that you can give her a holla. Hey, she's still a cutie. He's still watching.
That's so sweet. Hi, honey.
Dr. Rick Stevenson, who is part of the faculty at the University of Florida in the African American History Studies. Great addition for the University of Florida. Very, very fortunate to have both of you in our community. And welcome from Michigan. It may be a little chilly today.
It actually feels good to me today.
It feels good.
I had the sunroof cracked open, to be honest.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Considering what it could be,
Yeah,
what
it's
it
like
probably
15
is.
at home right now.
15.
I'll
Yeah,
take it.
this is beach weather almost for you.
Yeah, almost. Not quite, but almost.
Yeah. Well, we thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for liking and sharing. And we will see you next time.
Alrighty.
In the
Happy
meantime,
holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays at the Wellness Radio TV. Remember, there is healing at the well. Make it a good day.